give me a moment's peace and take out the trash.
We pay taxes for people to come and take the garbage.
Hey, listen, Greenie, no more sneaking rides to the junkyard. Yeah, man, take a taxi when you want to go to the junkyard.
Hello and welcome to Hot Trash Unlimited, the show where me, Joe,
and me, Caleb,
and our guest,
Elijah Ridley,
talk about movies and the theaters because we went back to the theaters this week.
Oh, and this was one to go back for,
It
too.
sure was, and quite the theater experience, too. And decide whether or not these movies could be hot trash. Elijah, what did we see this week?
This week, you guys came with me to see Godzilla vs. Kong.
We need Kong. The world needs him to stop what's coming. And this child, she's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. And I think that in some way, Kong did the same. It's Godzilla.
At the bougie Thoroughbred.
Thoroughbred 20 AMC Dolby Theater.
The place where I've seen such great movies as Suicide Squad.
I have
the
only seen
original
Suicide
Cars.
Squad there. And Cars. Yeah, I have seen Cars there. We've seen the same movies there.
I've seen a lot more there, but those are the two that always stick out. So, Oh, the Meg, when I went to see the Meg on my brother's bachelor party. So,
Oh my gosh, I've still not seen that one.
Worth it. Was it in Dolby, though?
No, it was in 3D IMAX.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. I mean,
Depending on your point of view.
3D gives me a headache. I'd much rather have the subwoofers underneath the seat. Like every time someone takes a step, it just shakes.
So yeah, we saw Godzilla vs. Kong, the latest in the Legendary Monster Verse, and kind of what it's been building towards this entire time.
I'd say this is the big thing because most Americans know who Godzilla is. They may or may not have seen the movie. I imagine most people have seen at least one of the
King Kongs.
Yeah. And so you have the two biggest and most well-known monsters in movies coming together for the first time since the 60s. And let's be honest, no one's going back to rewatch that. Except for me, I did that this week.
Yeah. Well, I had that one on DVD, so I look at it again every now and then.
You're a big Godzilla fan. What was your first interaction with the franchise?
The earliest I can remember, I had to be like 4 or 5. And my parents, I saw Jurassic Park, and my parents, I love that. My parents bought Godzilla. And the first one they bought for me was actually Godzilla versus Biollante. That one was interesting. It had some curse words in it, so my parents then abruptly sold it right after buying it.
Abruptly.
Yeah. So I saw it once and then didn't get to see it again for another 15 years.
So that's already like a deeper cut. It's not like they got you Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
No. Why would I start with that?
Well, that would have been like the newest one at the time. That
You don't
seems
understand. His parents are kaiju connoisseurs. Only the best.
Man, yeah. If I had started with that one, I would have been really upset with Godzilla.
That was my first Godzilla.
Really? I don't blame you for not being a frequent Godzilla fan then.
I like Big Lizard more than Giant Monkey, though.
Fair enough.
Big dinosaurs are always way more fun.
Should we go over that before we get into the plot synopsis? Whose side are we on? I imagine it's all...
We're all Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This made me sympathize with King Kong more than I thought it would, but Godzilla's the OG.
Yeah.
I mean, I said at one point, I was like, wow, they literally, it's hero music every time Kong does anything, and then sad when he's in trouble, and then it's just angry villainous music when Godzilla approaches.
Well, something I was found interesting is that it was literally every time they first showed Godzilla, they'd start playing altered version of the original Godzilla theme, the dun 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 dun. It's fanboying a little bit.
I saw you hype in your seat every time I played. I was like, that must be a theme because I'm not recognizing it.
Bro, I went even crazier during King of the Monsters when they did the dun dun dun, the violin version.
Yeah. It's like how in Creed when they finally dropped just a little bit of the Rocky theme, you get really hyped. So, Joe, what's this movie about? What happens in it? Besides big lizard hit big monkey.
I was like, it's in the title. We open up with Kong in a little biome place on Skull Island where he's just under watch by some scientists. He's a big, old, lazy person compared to what I assume he looked like in Skull Island, because I didn't see that movie.
I wouldn't call this one lazy. This one's working for it.
I guess so. He seems a little more like, just another day in the life. He's walking around scratching his butt.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely been worn down by the day-to-day grind of capitalism. But
and we got Apex, this new up and coming, or they've already up and came at this point. I don't know what they do. They research
do technology Titans and stuff, like
specifically
AI.
around Titans, or they were Mutos. Now they're Titans in this. They've referred to them as something else now.
It's just one of those generic, like, we do technology companies.
Every time their logo came up, like they'd show it in the background, it looked like the AMC logo for some reason. Like, this is some weird cross promotional marketing. And Godzilla attacks the Apex headquarters. And then the Apex CEO is like, we need ways to defend ourselves against Godzilla. You, Mr. Scientist Man, you have notes on Hollow Earth. I'm going to fund you to get there. You're taking Kong with you. As soon as Kong gets out of his biome on Skull Island, Godzilla's like, hold up. There's another person trying to take my crown. Then we have a lot of fights for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And then I guess the only other storyline is that Brian Tyree Henry is a paranoid conspiracy theorist working for Apex, and he teams up with Millie Bobby Brown and the kid from Deadpool 2, and they keep stumbling into finding out that mecha-godzilla exists.
Yes.
I can easily say that's the worst part of the movie.
You can cut it out and nothing will change. They do not do anything to progress the plot other than show you stuff is happening.
I like my boy Brian Tyree Henry. He's having a lot of fun here.
Starting off, I talked to Caleb about this already. Maybe you were just as confused as I was. Did you realize that Kong was still being kept on Skull Island?
Yes.
Okay.
So
the titles tell you that much, because that's what I got.
I will do my defense once again after.
Well, I'm the type of person to look at all the promotional content, and then I'd look back at the old movie. So in Godzilla vs. Kong, they show, or not, Godzilla King of Monsters, sorry. They show each place where they have Titans located. Mm-hmm. So that on one, they show Skull Island. They show the location. It says Titanus Kong. Okay. And then also they had a website where you could go look up and see, what new Titans are popping up in the universe.
You went deep.
Yeah, and like it's like this globe. It's interactive. It's pretty cool. But like I knew that they at least knew where Kong was. I didn't know that they had him in an enclosure.
See, that enclosure threw me off so hard. I thought they were in like Brazil or something, and it had made like a fake tiny Skull Island, and that's why he was like, I don't like it here. And then you brought up, it's like, but it says Skull Island. And I was like, I thought that was to like throw me off and make me think it was. And then it says Monarch Outpost Skull Island. I thought it was, they have Monarch Outpost. They made Skull Island. They have Monarch Outpost Tokyo, or they have a mini Tokyo,
like
or
a
something.
Minecraft server.
Yeah, I thought it was stuff like that. And then because they were talking about the storms, I was like, did Skull Island just get destroyed? No, it's still fine. It's just covered in a storm constantly.
I didn't really care for their explanation as to why it was storming there a lot. They just said, we messed with the biome enough building this thing that now it storms here constantly.
Well, there's like, man, I'm going to have to try to remember things about Skull Island, a movie which I only saw once and did not enjoy. I think wasn't there constantly a storm around the island?
Yeah, so at the beginning of Skull Island, when Samuel L. Jackson and his whole crew is going in, they're on the boats, and then the guy who's driving the boat says, hey, there's a storm, I'm not going any further, and then they get on the copters. So I'm guessing maybe they messed with it so much that the storm enclosed.
Yeah.
But the storm is what was keeping the life there so untouched.
Which is fine. I don't think the movie explained it poorly, but man, the fact that I got thrown off that hard amazed me.
I think you're thinking about this too hard. Like, so
am I though?
Godzilla. I've not seen as many Godzilla movies as Elijah, but I have seen a fair amount. And, first one, and then a couple others, you can kind of make an argument for the second one. I'd say Shin Godzilla. They have like more depth to them. Mm-hmm. But most of them are just the dumbest crap ever. And it's like, we're going to go explore Jupiter, but on Jupiter there are aliens and they also have King Ghidorah. Like at a certain point, you just need to like sit back and be like, anything is fine.
Well, and I go into these movies expecting the dumbest thing and just to roll with it. But after King of Monsters, where they kind of over-explained a lot,
That's a problem with the American Godzilla movies.
that I was just like, I guess I'm looking for this stuff, and shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I think my like biggest issue with these movies, even though I love them, is that they're asking you to suspend your disbelief so far, but then they're like walking you through the human characters, and I'm just like, let me figure it out on my own.
I had a major problem with that later on that I'll get to. But round one, let's get into that.
Yeah,
we
fight
have
on the boat.
We have the fight on the boat, and everything leading up to it with introduction of some really dumb characters, like the daughter.
Oh,
the daughter of the CEO.
I was about to say there are two daughters. There are technically three daughters.
That's true. The daughter of the CEO is one of the most pointless characters.
Oh yeah, no, you know she's evil because unlike Rebecca Hall, she dresses sexy.
Yes, she's hot. That's how you know. She's hot and she's rude.
But you don't know if that's like she's just rich rude or if she's like evil rude until the end. Yes.
I mean, that became painfully obvious at the end when, well, I don't know if you want to head that far yet, but
oh yeah, go for it.
I mean, when she was leaving them behind and trying to get back on the machine to get out of there.
The heave.
Yeah,
such an idiot. She's like, okay, we're gonna mess with Godzilla, and then we're gonna
mess with the little girl that Godzilla is clearly in love with.
And then we're just
Godzilla, King Kong.
Yeah. And then we're just gonna shoot guns. Like, that's because that's worked.
Get him out of the way.
So yeah, fight on the boat. Godzilla attacks for the first time attacking Kong. Second appearance in the movie. Good fight.
Oh yeah, really fun.
Completely decimates this fleet of ships in an instant. Only the main ship is left.
That's something that stuck out to me about this. They have no compunctions about collateral damage.
No.
Like King Kong picks up a jet plane and throws it at Godzilla with the pilot
there's a dude
still
in it. He ejects. He's fine. Because Kong's the good guy.
But Kong right before that jumped onto this aircraft carrier, and you cannot tell me at least 17 people did not die when that happened.
Well, then when it got flipped with him on it, definitely half the crew drowned during that moment.
The one thing I appreciate the most about this fight scene is that it's the first fight scene in the Monsterverse that we get outside of some of the scenes in Kong Skull Island. That's like a huge fight where it's not extremely dark.
Yeah,
and the fighting under the water looks beautiful.
No. Ghidorah versus Rodan was in the light. They just cut away from it instantaneously.
Okay, well, that doesn't count.
Also, Ash was covering the entire sky. Most of the fights in this, even the ones at night, you can tell what's going on, but especially this one during the day, like everything's clear. Even when they go underwater, it's all like well shot and choreographed. You never like lose sight of where everyone is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a good fight. Also, Kong sucks. Any help he gets from any chance he has of winning this is the humans just firing guns and stuff at Godzilla.
Well, when you think about it, Godzilla lives most of the time underwater.
He definitely has a fighting advantage.
If I remember correctly from King of Monsters, he canonically lives in Atlantis.
Yeah.
Or at least the nuked out remains of Atlantis.
Yeah, it was something like that.
I also like that in this fight, less so in the other ones, but whenever they cut back to the humans, I felt like that built the tension of the fight, because my biggest problem with King of Monsters was every time they cut back to the humans, I'm like, you have big Firebird and three-headed dragon outside. Why are we paying attention to these people?
Well, this was less of these people are trying to avoid the fight, and they are observers like us.
Yeah.
So it was a little better. They had the same perspective as you.
And they have an emotional attachment to King Kong, or at least some of them do. Because King Kong is the most, he's very human. He has human expressions. He does human things like scratch his butt and stuff like that.
Sign language at this point, too.
Yeah, he goes all full Planet of the Apes and...
He yells, "I am Caesar!" at one point.
Apes together, strong.
Andy Serkis reprises 2 of his roles in one.
So yeah, Kong loses that first fight pretty hard. He is chained up for a good portion of it.
Yeah, they basically have to trick Godzilla into going away.
Yeah, Kong's passed out, and I assume not exerting Titan life force or whatever gets Godzilla to notice him, and they cut their engines. And then helicopters are able to come without Godzilla knowing that they're coming, so we'll hand wave that away. Just like how we'll hand wave that they somehow managed to get Kong chained to his ship.
I mean, they do that in every Kong movie except for Skull Island.
Yeah,
they have to get him to New York somehow.
Yeah.
In defense of that, Kong was much smaller in those other movies.
This is true.
Let's talk about how absolutely massive they had to make him between Skull Island and now. I mean, granted, Skull Island took place in what, the 40s?
I mean, they have to... He's got to match up with Godzilla.
Yeah.
Godzilla's huge.
And the interesting part to me is that it shows that Kong's lifespan is less than Godzilla's because we're expected to believe that Godzilla's been around for centuries, whereas Kong
He's got an old man beard now.
Yeah, Kong's got that old man Logan vibes.
Kong, get to the Sun Seeker. No, that's a good point, and I think that just makes him goes back to why Kong is so relatable in this movie. Like we've seen him not like age over time, but we can see the contrast, and like he's trying to find his family in the Hollow Earth. He's so human, while like Godzilla is so
Animal.
God, yeah.
And like I think in King of Monsters they did try to make him relatively human.
Ever since they started pushing that Godzilla's our savior thing, it was a little much.
Well, to be fair, the Godzilla movies are just wrestling matches, and he made the heel turn to good guy.
Man, and like off the Kong person thing, like in that movie in Kong Skull Island, they gave us his whole backstory about how he ended up the only Kong, like skull crawlers killed his whole family, made us feel for him. Whereas with Godzilla, we're just told that he's been around for who freaking knows.
He saves the city in Godzilla 2014.
Yeah.
I've only seen half that movie because the side I was watching it dipped out back in 2014. And haven't felt the need to go back. So you get to Antarctica.
They go into Hollow Earth.
They go into Hollow Earth after a really trippy sequence of gravity reversing at like 1,000 times speed. Is that the official?
I don't remember. I even watched it for a second time, and I don't.
You watched it again already?
Yeah.
Of course you did.
It's on HBO Max.
We saw this last night, by the way.
I watched it first thing I did this morning. Yeah, I don't know. I still didn't understand that whole sequence. Like I get what they're trying to do, but like I missed the whole reverse of gravity, how that works part.
It's those scenes in video games where you have to like navigate through like this small hallway or whatever, so it has time to load the next section. That's all it is. They just have to load the Hollow Earth graphics.
And we get to Hollow Earth, and it's something. It's kind of empty, honestly.
Yeah,
it's a lot of landscapes with mountains upside down.
If we got more movies, I'd want to see one set in Hollow Earth, because while you don't have like human civilization there to have stakes, it's such a fun playground to have like monster fights.
Oh yeah, I said, the perfect battleground, and there's never a fight there.
Well, he had that small fight against the Warbats, but
that hardly counts.
Those are fun. Yeah, I think those were fun.
I thought it was cool, like when he killed that last second, when he ripped the head out.
Oh, those things.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about the thing in the
the
king cave.
Things.
Yeah. That was a fun fight.
It was very short.
This comes up later. The Heave pilots are like, something's wrong, and they die immediately in like ship number 3 or whatever. I'll come back to that. Yeah, he cuts one heads off and starts drinking out of it like the spoils of war. Is that when you walked out for a second?
No. I waited after that, and then I walked out because I'm like, okay, now it's just going to be... I waited till he like climbed the mountain and got the thing, because I'm like, okay, there won't be a fight right after this.
You missed him coming into the PS4 game where put hand here to open door.
Well, I did see put axe here to charge up.
You did see that. Press square to pick up axe.
It's a very video gamey sequence as Kong navigates like the Kong civilization and earns his name as king by sitting on the throne. I love that. That was so fun.
It's so silly.
It is silly, but like I think I like the parallel where like Godzilla had his temple that got blown up in Atlantis, and then Kong has his temple from his ancestors,
which gets blown up
by
Godzilla. So Apex lures Godzilla to Hong Kong so that they can test out mecha-godzilla. Have we seen mecha-godzilla fight the skull crawlers yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's when Millie, Brian, and Deadpool Kid pop in after just zany events get them to Hong Kong in the first place. God, why do these people not have security of any kind?
Julian Dennison. That's the kid's name.
New Zealander Deadpool Kid.
Julian.
Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciated their comedic relief in the movie a bit at certain points. The only one I can think of right now is when they're standing at the bottom of the kill pit and he goes, ah! And it scares him. That's the only one I really laughed at. But that was in a trailer. So
Brian Terry Henry gets better as the movie goes along, I'd say, in terms of just like jokes, but he just becomes the joke person.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I enjoy Brian Terry Henry mainly on a meta level because he never plays characters like this. And so it's fun to see him do something different.
Yeah.
But we have Caleb, you want to get to your favorite part of the movie, the time you laughed the hardest?
Yeah, but
Mecha-Godzilla.
Anyway, they get Godzilla into Hong Kong so they can have him fight Mecha-Godzilla. But first, because he senses King Kong with the axe, he goes through the earth, like he nuclear breaths through the earth
all the way to Hollow Earth,
directly like destroying the Kong throne. It's great.
That's some crazy accuracy.
They find out that how they're controlling Mecha-Godzilla is that this one guy who's working for not Maxwell Lord.
What's man's name from last movie? It's his son.
Oh, Serizawa.
Serizawa's son.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember his name.
Edgy boy band man.
Ren Serizawa. So we see him like VR controlling Mecha-Godzilla, but we don't see what he's in. We just assume he's in a room. Maybe this is like the Jaegers in Pacific Rim. Maybe he's inside. No, he is inside the skull of King Ghidorah, one of the skulls of King Ghidorah, which they have created a supercomputer out of.
It's a skull.
It's a skull.
It's not a brain.
There's nothing there to create a supercomputer out of. It's bone.
Did you hear how fast they ran through the explanation of that too? Like, oh, it's psionic this, psionic that. I was just like, what? Wait, slow down.
It's
What?
moments like this that you remember. The director of this also made Netflix's Death Note.
Oh God, that's true. I forgot about that.
Oh man,
I busted a gut when they got to that scene. Like they pan out, and I'm like, oh, they have his skull as a trophy or something. Then they start explaining it, and I'm like, what is this?
it's so silly.
It's my favorite part of the movie.
So, Apex CEO's daughter gets a sample of the radiation that charges up King Kong's axe that is made from a Godzilla scale.
Is made up of like all the Titans have this power. Is it just like the Apex Titans have this?
What are you asking or explaining?
Yes, because they need this. They need this to power Mecha-Godzilla, right?
Oh, the radiation juice.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were asking what the axe is. I was like, I don't know. An axe.
The axe is just an axe.
Yeah, no, they're getting like the radiation juice to power Mecha-Godzilla because it is Apex power. Whatever. I don't understand how you capture it, much less upload it and then download it to recreate it.
Yeah, how you synthesize it
in the span of like seconds.
Yeah,
right.
While someone is in Hollow Earth.
Hey, they made Mecha-Godzilla. We can't question them. Yeah. They made a big robot. They can do anything.
This is one of the things where he brought up, like, they want you to suspend your disbelief so much with the humans where, like, I'm like, you lose me there. So they upload the radiation juice into Mecha-Godzilla, and Ren's like, this hasn't been tested. But CEO's, man, jack into the mainframe. We're going in. So they jack in, and this is where I get confused again. Is it A, the radiation juice takes control, and Mecha-Godzilla is now sentient with Apex radiation juice? B, what I heard people explaining, is it King Ghidorah taking over Mecha-Godzilla? Or is it Ren's consciousness is just stuck in Mecha-Godzilla?
I choose D. It doesn't matter because Mecha-Godzilla is cool.
I'd say based on older movies and like how these movies occasionally like to throw a nod back to older movies, there was, I think it was Godzilla versus Mecha-Godzilla, but it was the one where they called it Kiryu instead of Mecha-Godzilla in the movie. That one was made out of a literal dead Godzilla skeleton.
Yeah.
And that one took control of Kiryu during the movie. So I think from what I saw, it's like King Ghidorah's taken over.
Whatever it is, they just expect you to roll with it once
does
again.
make sense because apparently the skull is telepathic,
Yeah.
hence the supercomputer. That also doesn't make the supercomputer make sense, but I don't care.
Wait, I think that's they like named all three of the Ghidorah heads, and I think that's Kevin, isn't it? Like the goofy one.
Oh, yeah,
like
because all of them had different personalities. Yeah. I don't remember which one got cut off.
I think I want to say it was Kevin.
Well, Kevin can get work done in the Mecha-Godzilla body.
Yeah, he was, oh my gosh, it was wild.
But before the Mecha-Godzilla fight, we have round 2 and round 3 of Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
Kong gets the upper hand, and it's in Hong Kong, and it looks gorgeous.
Yes.
It's what you're talking about. It's at night, but you can see everything just because everything's lit up by neon. Very Pacific Rim-esque. And Kong wins. He gets that upper hand with the axe, and this is when the Kong team of humans fly up from Hollow Earth, do the super cool
like go over Kong's shoulder, like pass by the nuclear breath.
They're going spiraling around the nuclear breath and go, why is this man who has never operated one of these heaves before so much better? And every one of the trained pilots died instantly.
Beginner's luck.
Because movie. That's why.
Right.
It's because movie. But it's you can't ask me to suspend my disbelief that hard in some circumstances.
Okay.
It was a cool shot. So
It was a cool shot. Yeah.
You will never see me as turn off my brain as I am with a Godzilla movie. Even though, once again, I acknowledge there can be deep Godzilla movies, but I'm also perfectly fine with. I'm also perfectly fine with Big Lizard hit Big Monkey. Highlights of this fight is when Godzilla's getting up after like a beating, and you see Kong behind him holding a crane.
That was so
like
cool.
just brandishing it above him.
Yeah, what I thought was cool is we finally get to see Godzilla actually crawling like an actual lizard.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it. I was like, anatomy wise, his arms are really small and his legs are massive. So how
And
is
his
this working?
tail, like his butt is huge compared to the rest of his body.
He's got a dump truck.
Yeah, he does that. I've shown both of you that picture of Kong and Godzilla making out, and Godzilla just has a huge butt.
And round 3 comes like right after round 2.
Round
There's
3
just a little bit of
you
space
get the
in between.
ding ding of the bell, and we're back into it. Godzilla is like, oh, this is no joke. Time to establish me, and just beats Kong to a pulp.
Yeah.
Well, this is very much like Kong's turf because like he can climb the buildings and stuff. And so it just
Godzilla has since leveled all the buildings.
yeah, Godzilla just needs to make an even playing field with his tail, and then like he's got his bearings, he can go. And this is probably my least favorite of their 3 fights, but still really solid, especially just as a continuation.
Yeah, it's also round 3 and more of you thought he got knocked out, but he got back up like at the 10-second mark or whatever.
It's like when the small wrestler comes up and hits the big wrestler with the chair, and he goes down, and so he's going around the ring being like, "Yeah, I got him," and then like in the background you see the big wrestler get up.
Oh my gosh.
That's exactly what it is, and then Godzilla just steps on Kong, and it's like it's over. Like he's not getting back up.
Do you guys think that the fights could have tended to be a little bit more even? Because they are very much one person is constantly winning.
I think they start out even enough, and then once someone gains the upper hand, they keep it. Is more so what it is, which I'm more okay with than just no one gets a punch in, because they'll get punches in before someone just takes the upper hand.
Mm-hmm. One complaint I've seen a lot since this movie has come out is that Godzilla overuses his atomic breath.
We were talking about that today, actually.
And as someone who, that's my favorite part about Godzilla, and that's what separates him strength-wise from a character like Kong. It's like, maybe he thinks he needs to use it to be Kong. I had no issue with it, but a lot of people were like, oh, it takes the specialness away from it.
We're 3 movies in. It doesn't need to be special.
I was saying the only thing I missed was in 2014, the scene I've seen where he does it's where he blasts down that other Muto's throat. Yeah. And they do it in King of Monsters 2, where right when he's going to use the nuclear breath for the first time, you have the sub, all the sound drops out for a second. There was never one of those in this movie, and it kind of left me disappointed. But also, it's just cool seeing him light up.
I don't mind it. I think it's cool. I do think it is very convenient when it is super deadly and not. Like at the beginning of the movie, Brian Tyree Henry is like a foot away from it and survives.
Yeah. I mean, from the pure radiation that puts off, he should have like started bubbling up on his skin and stuff.
Everyone in Hong Kong has cancer now. Like even if they survive the attack.
Yeah, like I remember in the very first Godzilla movie ever, they're like, even Godzilla's presence somewhere makes it uninhabitable.
Yeah,
but all these people are just walking around afterwards like, oh, we're fine. Millie Bobby Brown should have warts all over her.
Well, no, because if they did that, then she wouldn't look 40 like she does here. True. She is made up to look so much older than she actually is, even though she is canonically still in high school.
And Drake was watching this movie and like, yeah.
That's disgusting.
So then we get Big Monkey and Big Lizard fight Big Robo Lizard.
Well, we have Big Robo Lizard fight Big Lizard first.
Oh, and
because they
dominate.
have to revitalize Kong.
Yeah.
I will say this is the one fight where I wish it was a little bit more even. It's just I'm like, okay, Godzilla, I get it. You just had 2 rounds with Kong. Why do you suck now? Like it's like they turn off.
He doesn't use his breath at all. Oh no, he does. They do have a beam clash like in Dragon Ball Z.
He got the mecha-godzilla got the wind up before beating him. He's like,
mecha-godzilla is pretty cool though.
Yeah,
Can't complain.
When I first saw his design, I was kind of iffy about it, but like after the second time watching it, especially, I was like, that's actually pretty freaking cool.
He's so much more mobile than the other two.
He's a lot skinnier.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys notice how like he was like using his jets to like evade
Yeah.
Godzilla's I was like, wow.
Yeah, like
that's
his
cool.
body is constantly folding in and out of itself, like to whatever's most appropriate for the fight, and like he uses his tail really well, where it has that like spinny thing on the end.
Yeah. Man, it was crazy though. The actual choreography was pretty mad, and I mean, he was just ragdolling Godzilla, literally like throwing him through building after building after building.
And then the little deaf girl who we haven't talked about, but that's fine. Go see the movie. She goes up to Kong and she's like, "Godzilla is not your enemy," which disagree. Yeah, go help him. And Kong's like, "Okay." And so they team up and best part of the movie, they both grab one of mecha-Godzilla's shoulders and they just pile drive him through a building.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And then they tear his arms off, and then
Well, Kong does that. Godzilla was like, "I'm going to take a break. I'll light up your axe for you, and you do the rest."
Man, I mean, Mechagodzilla was about to. That was like the most ex machina moment. Is like Mechagodzilla was about to drill through Kong's face, and Godzilla was like, "Hold up, buddy, I got you." But that's all I'm gonna help. That's it. That's all you get.
it's to look cool.
Yeah.
It's to make these dumb fights look cool, and I'm down for it.
So Kong with his axe completely obliterates Mechagodzilla. And then they square off one more time and they're like, "You really want to do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's go, bro. Yeah." And then they think a little bit more about it.
And then Kong's like, "Nah."
It's like, no. Well, Kong has a family to go back to now. So like he's a working man. He can't.
He can't die in the. He's not a Apollo Apollo. Is that Creed's Apollo Creed?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not Apollo Creed. He ain't dying in the ring.
I thought you were talking about mythology.
No.
Yeah, and which sets up like I don't think we'll get another one where they're fighting, but one where like they could come back, preferably, and fight a resurrected King Ghidorah. But like,
you think we're getting a Mecha King Ghidorah?
That'd be pretty cool though.
Well, I'd rather see it go like a destroyer route.
Yeah, I don't know as many of the monsters as you do probably. But I just want to see goofy sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to see someone try to resurrect King Ghidorah.
With the skull, get Charles Dance back into it.
What's the one from Godzilla Raids Again? It's like a big, like Stegosaurus.
Oh,
looking one.
Anguirus.
Yeah, that one would be kind of
They
cool.
actually
for
cameoed
like
him in
King of
Monsters.
Monsters. Yeah, they
there's
did. They
very
cameoed a lot
small
of them.
skeleton.
Oh, okay.
When Atlantis is getting blown up, you can see like the skeleton off to the side for like half a second.
That would be a good like opening fight if they did another movie. But we have a clear winner here. It is Godzilla.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, Godzilla would have died if it wasn't for Kong. But I think...
Yeah, it's one of those things where I beat you, but you beat the guy that was beating me, so we're just going to say I win.
You dropped the axe. How do we feel about that?
I'm fine with it. He is king of the monsters. Big lizard triumph over big monkey.
This whole time during the movie, I'm not sure if you could hear Joe, but Joe was just going, "Yeah, take that. You're just a stupid monkey. Yeah, come on."
No, I didn't hear him say that at all. Though. That's funny.
Oh, and you
my
were getting
gosh.
so mad in round 2 when Kong was winning. You were like, "How are you winning? You're just a monkey."
The one thing I did like out of the old one that was the most goofy, like the old Godzilla versus King Kong, is like they gave him some sort of like electric powers that he did through his hands.
Because it was supposed to be a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
And so, but they just kept that going. Man, that one's wild.
But
My
yeah.
favorite part about that movie is that the suit, like there are 2 King Kong suits, and one of them, like you can just tell it's the arms are longer and like they have little rods on the end to give it more scale. And then like occasionally it will just be like the arms the
Regular
size
arms.
of the person in the suit.
That iteration of Kong looked so goofy.
Oh yeah.
The way they did the face is just funny.
So, in comparison to the other 3 films of the MonsterVerse, having only seen part of Godzilla 2014 and all of King of Monsters, this is the top.
Oh yeah,
By
clearly.
far.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the 2014 Godzilla, but miles above Kong Skull Island, miles above
King of the Monsters.
King of the Monsters.
Yeah, I mean, even just based on straight up entertainment value, I had the best time watching this movie than I did of the Legendary movies. I think I had the least fun with Kong just because I'm a Godzilla guy.
Yeah.
So
It finally gets it right. We just want to see the fights. I get it. Millie Bobby Brown saves a bunch in terms of CGI budget.
But not the makeup budget.
no, clearly.
So Elijah, as a resident King Kong expert, where do Godzilla, sorry. Where do you hope the franchise goes from here?
If it continues, because it was about to die if this movie didn't do well.
Yeah.
This movie's probably going to do well.
Yeah, so far it looks like it's done really well. Apparently all the Snyder Cut fans are attacking it on message boards and stuff.
Why?
It's something like they're trying to make it look worse on HBO Max so that Snyder Cut gets more traction or something.
Weeks.
Yeah, I'm just like, guys, this isn't, stop. But as far as the direction goes, the way they left it, and there wasn't an extra scene, extra credit scene or whatever.
Yeah, because I don't think they know if they're going to be able to keep making these.
So one thing I was thinking about is that I wonder if they're going to have like where Godzilla continues to be, king of the surface, and then maybe Kong is like king of the
Hollow Earth,
since he's permanently living there now because he can't go back to Skull Island. Or I guess he could, but it'd be a long, pointless trip. He had a hole straight from Hong Kong to the Hollow Earth.
Yeah, they really don't need to worry about having to take that deathly 1,000-mile gravity reverse. They can just climb. What's it? They can rappel down that hole in Hong Kong.
My gosh. I think direction, in my opinion, I would like to see. Like, I think the technology stuff is cool, and I think it would be cool if we got a Mecha King Ghidorah at some point. I would like to see them go in a more like bioengineer our own monster, like a Destroyer, which Destroyer wasn't technically bioengineered. It kind of mutated in its movie, but Biollante in its movie was bioengineered, and that was like one of the biggest Godzilla villains ever, and it was actually in size and in stature in the box office. So I would like to see something that like we didn't succeed with the mechanized. Let's try and create our own that maybe we can imprint on at birth. And now I'm sounding like I'm out of Jurassic World.
I mean, they clearly have enough like samples and stuff. They're just carrying around skullcrawler eggs.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know if you've seen Godzilla versus Destroyer, but even in the old Japanese version, Destroyer is terrifying. He kills Godzilla's son in that movie. He basically almost kills Godzilla until Godzilla goes Super Saiyan after seeing his son die. So like, Do you think we'll get Godzilla's son?
Godzuki?
Oh, not that one. Oh my gosh. I know in the graphic novels there was a second Godzilla that they've talked about, but he died to meet up Prime. I think they called him Daeodon or something like that, but he was of that same species. But I don't know if we'll get a second Godzilla because they haven't said anything about whether he reproduces asexually or if there's another one that just never comes out.
Yeah, I think the Hollow Earth is like a fertile playground to do anything. Yeah. I want Queen Kong. If there's gonna be another Kong like focus movie, I want there to be more Kongs.
Yeah,
and I think having Queen Kong would be pretty fun.
Me having much less investment in these monster universes and history knowledge. I was talking to Caleb earlier. I was like, this is the first movie where it's Kong's had two movies where he hasn't died at the end of the first one. And I'm thinking, he's kind of an old scraggly man, King Kong now. What if we got like the death of Superman, where it's like the stuff in New York happens? I don't know why I would at this point. You'd have to really, I'd have to really suspend my disbelief to get that ending to come in.
He's too big to climb.
I know. But like, death of Superman, like he dies and Godzilla's like, he was a worthy adversary and a good friend.
Oh, see, that'd be great if like Destroyer or someone kills King Kong and kills King Kong.
Yeah.
I was about to say or reverse, but I don't want to see Godzilla die. And then Godzilla just like, you see him, he's like, one more time. Coming out of Atlantis one more time.
I guess my biggest praise for these movies is that like they're not making in the first one they kind of did, but they're not making these creatures out to be supernatural. Like they're creatures who are fighting to be at the top of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's the only...
They're straight up animals, like predators.
That's the only plot point that I liked out of King of the Monsters was that these are just animals fighting for that top spot. The rest of the movie can go in the trash.
I'm hoping that if they do continue and like this does well and they do continue, they stop listening to their viewers so much, because they've had this thing where Godzilla 2014, people complained a lot about not being able to see all the action and stuff. and like too much damage and stuff and whatever. Then King of the Monsters was a complete whiplash,
Yeah.
where you saw a lot of the monsters, but they weren't necessarily doing anything, and no one was getting hurt.
Yeah.
And then this was whiplash straight back into it, where it's like everyone's dying.
Yeah.
Well, also, let me double check this. Yeah, every single one of these movies has been directed by
a different
someone.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that works out. Like prime example, Star Wars original trilogy, all different directors. But like, I kind of wonder, do they need, and I don't need deep lore. I don't need like Kyle Chandler to come back a fourth time, but I wonder if they had a consistent vision for these movies moving forward, if maybe that would solve that problem. And hey, if Alex Wingard wants to be that person, I wouldn't mind. I'd prefer that to Death Note 2.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get me wrong. I like Gareth Edwards as a director. He was the one who did 2014 Godzilla. And I liked his idea conceptually. I know I'm in the minority on this. I liked not seeing Godzilla for a huge portion of that movie, just because when we finally saw him in his full glory, it was that much more satisfying.
The concept is interesting from an entertainment perspective. I think it completely makes the movie a drag.
Yeah, you have to focus on Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver the entire movie.
Yeah, and you kill off Bryan Cranston in the first 20 minutes. Like,
that was mistake number one.
The only other thing I have to say is about the future of the franchise is I hope they get Lance Reddick back for maybe 4 shots this time.
He was in 2 scenes.
No, he wasn't in 2 scenes. He was in 2 shots.
2 shots, yeah.
And his name is in the opening credits too.
Well, he only has 1 line too.
Yeah. He was like, "Here you go, Mr. Chandler."
So, but the important question is this hot trash?
Yeah, so I would define hot trash for your benefit, Elijah, but we don't really have a working definition right now. It's kind of the point of the show is to find one. Joe, why don't you go first?
There are a lot of entertaining scenes. Every time those monsters are fighting, I'm having a blast. Every time it's with humans, it's 50-50. I like the Kong team's pretty intriguing. I like the little girl. Despise the Godzilla team. There's a lot of cutting to them early on. I don't think this quite reaches hot trash. I think it's inching into the good territory even.
Yeah. I would say the fights, there's like a level of craft there, and there is humor in the fights, I'd say. Like, I think that shot of Kong with the crane is funny. But I think that those are good, and that's the driving force of the movie. So there are elements of it, like the super skull brain computer. That stuff's hot trash. That's like Prime laughing at hysterically how much little sense it makes. And then there's stuff where it's like, okay, you're just trying too hard to be serious and stuff, but the fights are good. So movie's good.
Yeah.
Well, since I don't really have a full definition.
Don't worry, neither do we. We've just talked about this for 30 something episodes.
I guess for me, so is hot trash like whatever you want? It's good. Like, that's
so
the
bad
standard.
it's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Like Suicide Squad for us is hot trash.
Okay. I never finished that movie. But,
I'm sure Joe's talked to you about it.
yeah,
though.
he has. I saw the trailer for. Isn't there another one coming out?
The Suicide Squad.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that trailer with King Shark in it. I guess for me, I'd probably be in the same wheelhouse as you guys, just because, like Joe said, you said this, I think, before we even started recording, is that you get rid of the whole Godzilla team and it's a better movie. And I agree.
It makes it just like a lot better if
Yeah.
if you cut out those Godzilla team moments.
Yeah, and like the only thing it really provides us with is some context here and there that we could have probably figured out on our own.
Yeah, or they can just have like it being shown from the villain perspective.
Yeah.
You don't need the heroes going in to see what's going on.
I also like kind of reject the fact that they make Billy
Bobby Brown.
whatever her name is, Millie Bobby Brown, like into like she's supposed to be rebellious, but we're supposed to like her. I don't like that. If she's gonna be rebellious, she needs to be like the most hated character in that movie. You know, like I
hate her. I hate her fine enough.
What's she rebelling against? She has one argument with her dad, and then she goes on her road trip.
Right. I think it could have done without that entirety. Like Monarch was so useless in this movie that they didn't even need to be in it at all. It could have just been Apex, Kong.
Yeah, there
and
didn't need to
Godzilla.
be any holdover and continuity from King of the Monsters.
Yeah, I think it's almost there for me, but not quite.
If people watch this movie and they're like, "Ah, cool, I like Godzilla now," what should be the movie they watch next?
My brain goes straight to either Godzilla versus Destroya or Godzilla versus Biollante, because I mean those are classic Godzilla films. I think they're both from the Heisei era. I think those are potentially two good directions for this to go. Another graphic novel is about to come out, and it's going to take place in between King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. And I'm not sure what it's going to be about. They've just announced that it's coming. If it's not dealing with anything I just said, I think they should go in the direction of bio development.
Coolio.
I suggest they watch Godzilla 1999 starring Matthew Broderick.
98.
98.
You fake fan. I've never seen that one. Watch Shin Godzilla. It's really good.
Isn't the name of that Godzilla like technically Godzilla or something like that?
No.
It's Gyno, right?
No, Toho bought it and rebranded it as Zilla just to murder it on
Zilla,
screen.
yeah, Zilla.
Oh, I've
It's
heard
the girl one.
I've heard some people call it Gyno, like Godzilla in name only.
Yeah.
But where can people find you? You have anything you want to shout out, Elijah?
Plug.
Sure. I mean, I guess if you wanted to follow me on Instagram, it's just Elijah Ridley _VOX.
Because Elijah does vocals in 2 of my bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was sliding in there.
yeah. So if you wanted to follow me there, great. And then you can come listen to our bands and yeah.
Counterfeits and Dusk Before Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I hesitated for Dusk Before Dawn. I know the name
That's
of that
the
band.
established one.
That's the one that y'all been doing since high school.
Yep.
All right, well, thank y'all for listening to Hot Trash Unlimited, and we will be back next week with a very special episode with another guest, not about a new movie, but about a concept, a thesis statement, if you will. So we will see you then.